Moving on, in getting our heads-up display or GUI going, we need to add a count for the amount of grenades that we still have. Now if I go to my game view, you can already see what we have. We have a little grenade with a box behind it, and now it's time to put some text on top of this to count for the amount of grenades. Now if you open up the project files that come with this VTC course, you will notice that in the GUI folder there's also a folder called Gunplay, and inside of this folder there is a font called Gunplay, and this font is free for personal as well as commercial use, and we will use the first one, gunplay.ttf, to transfer into a font that we can use in the engine. Now this is remarkably simple and extremely powerful in Unity. We can simply drag the TTF inside of our project and it will import it for us and do all the conversion for us. Now do note that if you have a font that does not end with the extension TTF, then Unity will not recognize it. So let's drag this over into our GUI folder and then select our Gunplay. Now as you can see, there's a couple of things that have happened. The font size is set to 16, and this is the font size as you would be used to in any other type of word processing application. And then it asks us for what type of characters we want to use. Now Unicode support is available in Unity3d, which means that if you have Japanese or Chinese fonts, they will also work, and basically it makes it a lot easier to translate your game to different languages. Extremely powerful. But for example, if you wanted to use only uppercase or lowercase letters, you can read into the ASCII files of this font as well. Now then it also has a font rendering or anti-aliasing, and that basically means that when the font is on the screen, does it fuzz out the edges a little bit or not, so that it makes the font more clearly readable. And in most cases, light anti-aliasing is exactly appropriate. Okay, then if we open up our font, there's some more that we can learn. Unity has transformed it into a font texture, and if you're used to any other type of game engine, you probably recognize this, or if you've done any GUI design for games. It is basically a total print out of the font into one texture that Unity then reads and uses in the game. Now usually these were quite a pain to make, but Unity does all this for us, so we can basically do this with our eyes closed. Then last but not least, there's a font material, and you can see already that it has been mapped on this cube here, and basically this is the material with a little shader, the font shader, that is by default used in Unity. And of course this is where you can change colors and stuff like that. Now if I change the size of our font to, for example, 20 instead of 16 and hit apply, it will re-import it. And then if I go to our font material, you can see that the cube is now almost entirely filled because the letters are bigger. Same for our font texture. Alright, there's that. Now let's start the fun part in adding this to our game. Go to, with the Gunplay selected, go to Game, Object, Create Other, and now a GUI text instead of a GUI texture. It will import it, and as you can see, it's viewable on the screen. Now let's take a peek quickly at the grenades to copy and paste the X and Y values. It's a 0.1 and a 0.9. So let's copy that, 0.1, 0.9. And as you can see, the text is now halfly hiding behind the other element. Now, as I've said, the X and Y values of GUIs are different from that of 3D, but in this case the Z does matter because Z is basically your order or your index, and right now grenades is set to 0 as well as GUI text is set to 0, so Unity kind of does what he feels is best and puts the text behind it. We don't want that, so let's change the Z to a 1, and as you can see it pops right in front of us, in front of the other GUI texture. Okay, that will work just fine. Let's rename this and call this G_count to be our grenade count. And then it is a little down towards the bottom, so let's change that a little bit. Let me change the text to a number, for example 25. Let's now move it up a little bit, changing the Y to 9. That's a little too much. 91, 92, in between 91 and 92, so 91.5. Okay, it might be different for you if you have a different resolution, so just play around a little bit and see what works for you. I'm going to change this a little bit as well. 0.11, just to place it right into the middle. That looks pretty good. Now let's run our game, see if it sticks, and as you can see it moves around just a little bit. I'm not too worried or concerned about that. Let's change our aspect ratios, see what they do, and as long as it stays on the square a little bit, I'm happy for now. Yeah, that will do just fine. Okay, let's go back into our game panel, and of course when you resize the game panel it changes a little bit here and there as well. Okay, now that we have our font and our name set, all we need to do is add some scripting to actually have the grenades represented by the right number. So let's do that next.